This is the Music History Today podcast for December the 4th. On today's show, the Million Dollar Quartet performs and the Duke plays a legendary club. First up, though, on this date in 1927, the aforementioned Duke, Mr. Duke Ellington, played at the Cotton Club in Harlem for the first time. His residency at the club would turn him into a superstar. In 1956, Elvis Presley, Johnny Cash, Carl Perkins, and Jerry Lee Lewis held an impromptu jam session at Sun Records in Memphis, Tennessee. The session would later be named the Million Dollar Quartet. In 1971, the inspiration for Deep Purple's classic song Smoke on the Water occurred when the Montreux Casino in Switzerland caught on fire during a Frank Zappa and the Mothers of Invention concert there. In 1976, Tommy Bolin of Deep Purple passed away at the age of 25 in a Miami hotel room. In 1976, composer Benjamin Britten passed away from heart issues at the age of 63 at his home in Aldeburgh, Suffolk, England. In 1979, entertainer extraordinaire Miss Liza Minnelli married sculptor Mark Garrow in New York City. In 1980, Led Zeppelin announced their breakup after the death of drummer John Bonham. The remaining members would get back together as a trio at least 4 more times for special one-off concerts. In 1985 at Live Aid with Phil Collins on drums, and John Bonham's son Jason Bonham did the drumming duties for them in 1988 for the Atlantic Records 40th anniversary concert, in 1995 for induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and in 2007 at the Ahmet Ertegun tribute concert in London, England. Robert Plant, Jimmy Page, and John Paul Jones have also done various duo combination projects. For instance, the Page-Plant MTV album and concert, MTV Unleaded, along with Page and Jones playing with the Foo Fighters at least 2 different times. In 1988, Roy Orbison played his last concert in Highland Heights, Ohio. He passed away 2 days later from heart issues. We discuss his life and many other things on this week's Music History In-Depth podcast, which has dropped on this network already. In 1993, Frank Zappa of Frank Zappa and the Mothers of Invention passed away from cancer at the age of 52 at his home in Los Angeles. And in 2013, the Rock to the Rescue charity concert to benefit Illinois tornado survivors took place in Bloomington, Illinois. In 2014, the American Society of Composers, Authors, and Publishers, better known as ASCAP, announced that Santa Claus is Coming to Town was the most performed song of the last 100 years up to that point. In 2014, same day, NBC Television aired a live version of the musical Peter Pan. Called Peter Pan Live, it starred Christopher Walken as Captain Hook. And in 2022, the musical A Beautiful Noise, the Neil Diamond musical, opened up at the Broadhurst Theater on Broadway. In award ceremonies that were held on December the 4th, in 1984, the David Bowie concert movie David Bowie series Moonlight won a Cable Ace Award. In 1994, Aretha Franklin, Broadway theater producer Harold Prince, and folk singer Pete Seeger were awarded Kennedy Center honors. In 1996, Alanis Morissette was among the winners at the Billboard Music Awards. In 2001, Shaggy was among the winners at the Billboard Music Awards. In 2006, Mary J. Blige was among the winners at the Billboard Music Awards. In 2022, singers Amy Grant and Gladys Knight, along with composer Tanya Leone, and the group U2 were awarded Kennedy Center honors. Albums that were released on December the 4th include in 1964 when the Yardbirds released 5 live Yardbirds, and in the UK, the Beatles released Beatles for Sale. In 1965, the Rolling Stones released December's Children and Everybody's. In 1966, Dionne Warwick released Here Where There Is Love. In 1970, Wishbone Ash released their self-titled album, and Robert Wyatt released The End of an Ear. In 1975, Stephen Stills released Stephen Stills Live. In 1990, Brand Nubian released One for All, and The Simpsons TV show released the album The Simpsons Sing the Blues. And in 1997, Loverboy released 6. Singles that were released on December the 4th include in 1961 when the Shirelles released Baby It's You, which was a big hit. In 1972, Paul McCartney and Wings did a twofer. They released Hi 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 and Sea Moon. And in 1989 in the UK, Duran Duran released Burning the Ground. Before we continue, we'd like to tell you that we've started Season 2 of the Music History In-Depth podcast, where we go more in-depth on some of the events that we mention on this particular podcast. The Music History In-Depth podcast drops every Tuesday on this podcast network. Now, back to the Music History Today podcast. Artists who were born on December the 4th include the self-professed greatest rapper alive, Rock and Roll Hall of Famer Jay-Z. Also, Dennis Wilson of the Beach Boys, Bob Griffin of the Bodines, EDM DJ Ferry Corsten, Jin of BTS, Gary Rossington of Leonard Skinner, Southside Johnny of Southside Johnny and the Asbury Jukes, Chris Hillman of the Byrds, Bob Mosley of Moby Grape, singer Freddie Cannon, jazz musician Eddie Haywood Jr., composer Herbert Hardy, Terry Woods of the Pogues, Brian Proud of Diamond Rio, jazz singer Cassandra Wilson, rapper Masta Ace, actor and musician Fred Armisen, rapper Chinks, and rapper Big Pokey. Artists who unfortunately passed away on December the 4th, other than the ones mentioned earlier, include hymnist Alexander Hume, violinist Gustav Holliander, the conductor of the National Theatre Orchestra from 1899 to 1929, Johann Halvorsen, pianist Dina Appeldorn, pianist Sonia Eckart Gramet, pianist Marcel Bourdum, drummer Bernie Dwyer of Freddie and the Dreamers, opera singer Elena Soliotis, singer Gloria Lasso, pianist Frederick Ziem, rapper Pimp C, blues guitarist Hubert Sumlin of Howlin' Wolf's band, opera critic for Opera Magazine Rodney Milne, guitarist Radim Vladik of the Blue Effect, violinist Bassam Saba, country music musician Stonewall Jackson, yes, named after the Stonewall Jackson of Civil War fame, and singer and actor Bob McGrath of Sesame Street. Next on the Music History Today podcast, it is December the 5th, when in 1932, the architect of rock and roll, Little Richard, was born.